Hello everybody, good afternoon. My name is Andar. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I hope you guys are doing very well. Welcome to a special episode of Andar Plays, brought to you by Razorlight Entertainment this lovely 2 p.m. afternoon with blazing 41 degrees Celsius temperature outside. Yeah, South India is pretty hot at this time of the year. Luckily, the place where I live is not is not polluted. It's quite enjoyable, but at the same time, the oppressive heat makes you long for the AC as soon as you encounter it. Anyway, that being said, oppressive heat is something that the game we are going to play this afternoon has in common with the place where I live. Today we are playing Dune Spice Wars! It was released on Steam yesterday, developed and published by Shiro Games in partnership with Funcom. Dune Spice Wars is marketed as a strategy game. It is in fact in early access, and the developers have released it to everybody to play, show them if there are bugs and stuff, and talk about their experiences, yabbity blabbity blubbity boo. So, today what we're going to do is we are going to play this game, we're going to talk about it, and then we are going to praise the worm, Shai-hulud for the win. Now, that being said, for those of you who are new to the Dune universe, Dune is a series of novels written by Frank Herbert, continued by his son, I believe his name was Brian Herbert. People generally read the books by Frank Herbert and then leave off the rest because they're quite loyal to the original set of books that Frank Herbert wrote. Dune is amazing. It is very deep. It is detailed. It is a political drama, you could say. Combined with religious elements, philosophy, spirituality, as well as, a lot of infighting and human social dynamics. It kind of includes all of these various elements that Dune brings to the universe and places before the readers for them to enjoy. But while we will talk about that, today's focus is going to be about the game Dune Spice Wars. Now, this beautiful desert planet that you see here with the twin moons is Arrakis, also known as Dune. Dune is where, everything happens. Dune is where people basically go in order to have a gala time in the desert, get rich, and hopefully not die. So, that being said, we're going to load up a game that I was already playing. I mean, I started playing this at 12 midnight, I think, and I stopped playing at 5 in the morning. I played this 5 hours straight, and it's wonderful. Now, we're going to play House Harkonnen. You have 3 houses to, 4 technically. You can choose to play either the Atreides or the Harkonnen, the traditional houses of the Dune universe. You can play the Smugglers, who in Dune 2 by Westwood Studios were basically House Ordos, I believe. And you can also play... No, the Smugglers were different. I'm sorry, I'm getting my Dune history mixed up. So you can play the Smugglers, and you can also play the Fremen, who are the natives of Dune. Yeah. The Smugglers are not House Ordos. House Ordos, House Tililatsu, they're all different. Now, that being said, I decided to play the Harkonnen simply because I thought that the Harkonnen have one of the most straightforward gameplay methodologies in the Dune universe. Their entire life essentially comes down to let's murder, death, kill everything. That's their essential, modus operandi. That's what they do. They're all about conquest. They're all about taking control. They're all about dominating everything that they see. That's how they roll. That's the Harkonnen way. All right. So I've been playing this for like 5 hours, which is why you would notice that I have progressed quite a bit. But I will now explain how this game works and all the different elements that you guys have to contend with. In the meantime, let me just take a look at some of the things that are happening in this game. Now, if you look at this game, it will resemble Civilization, Civ 5, Sid Meier's Civilization, and many other games like Humankind by Amplitude Studios, Endless Space. That's because many of the elements are, in fact, taken from civilization type games, civ management games. There is diplomacy and trade, which plays a much bigger part in this game than it does in many others, as far as I have seen. Hold on. Let me just deal with this politics, would you? Just a moment. Yeah, I'm gonna block your vote there. Okay, so as I was saying, you start off in this campaign as House Harkonnen, led by the enigmatically ruthless Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. Nothing to do with Vladimir Putin, he's just as equally ruthless, if not more genocidal. Deal with it. The House Harkonnen rules are essentially categorized under hegemony, because they are all about non-peaceful methods of conquest. They don't really care how they win, as so long as they win with power. So obviously, like all well-meaning dictators of old, House Harkonnen is all about just steamrolling everybody, right? So that's where all of their stats are geared towards. They can use oppression on villages, they get more resource production per active militia. They have a penalty to village resource production because everyone is essentially a serf or a slave. They have bonuses to their military power, they have bonuses to agent recruitment, and they can also sacrifice an agent, just like a lot of dictatorships do. They sacrifice people for their own benefits. Now, there are other houses, like I said, Atreides, the Smugglers, and the Fremen. The reason the Smugglers are blanked out here, grayed out, is because I have destroyed them in a typical fashion worthy of the great Vladimir Harkonnen. Deal with it. So House Atreides, on the other hand, gets a different kind of hegemonistic bonus. Their hegemony is less about a hegemony and more about peaceful coexistence. So every time they want to conquer, they can use peaceful annexation. They do not lose any authority from forming treaties with other factions. If they have a Landsraad rating, all of which we will be looking at, they gain bonuses. They cannot pillage, they cannot rob and steal from neutral villages that they do not own. It is something that House Harkonnen does very, very, very well. When House Harkonnen pillages a village, you get about 400 Solari, which is the in-game currency or credits. But House Atreides is not about that. They're about farming partnerships. While under the effect of a positive resolution, they gain more Solari, and while under the effect of a negative resolution, they gain unit power. So in Dune Spice Wars, the military has less importance for the Atreides than diplomacy does. So depending on their Landsraad rating, which again I will explain in a moment, they would get more power, more bonuses to their Solari production, or more power to their military, because the Landsraad is all about parliament, essentially. A very oligarchical parliament, I would say, but it is a parliament nonetheless that rules the known universe. So everybody comes together, they decide on what to vote on, etc., etc., and then through the process of a pseudo-democratic process, pseudo-democratic methodology, they arrive at various dictates, which then become laws for a set number of turns. So the Atreides really prosper in manipulating the Landsraad, the council votes, and also diplomatic trade. So you can ignore charter's prerequisites except for the necessary Landsraad standing if you have enough hegemony. I will cover all this in detail soon enough. So House Harkonnen is more straightforward. It's more about punching through every wall that they find, through every hole that they can see, through every obstacle that's in front of them. They don't care. Just punch, punch, punch. Then you have the Smugglers, who are all about money and spice. They can install underworld headquarters, place bounties, improve interactions with the black markets. They are not really part of the Landsraad since they are technically legal. It's not. I don't think there is any country in the world that officially condones the presence of smugglers. They are essentially the underbelly of society. Smugglers, of course, unlock contraband events. They get just 3 votes at the Landsraad for reaching a particular hegemonistic rating. They also can train mercenaries at high levels of hegemony, and the mercenaries have massive attack power boosts. So that's the smugglers. With smugglers, you are essentially playing a faction that is more into trade. So what is the difference between Atreides and smugglers? House Atreides is more into honor, honorable annexation, peace, and treaties between the factions. The smugglers are more about money, resources, trading. That's how they get things done. So if you're looking for economic victories, or if you're looking to use the resources in the game to push your way towards victory, less in the style of House Harkonnen and more in the style of a capitalist Jeff Bezos, smugglers is basically what you're going to play. I'm not saying Jeff Bezos is a smuggler, okay? He's a genius. But I'm saying that the smugglers play like Amazon, essentially. It's all about quality service, timely service, and selling tons of products. That's their way to succeed. Then you have the Fremen, bin Lai Khalifa. These are the natives of Dune. They are bloody tough. In the movies, in the books, in the games of all years, all decades, all eras, the Fremen are tough. Ultimately, the Fremen make the difference between the success and the failure of Paul Atreides on Dune. So if it wasn't for the Fremen, House Atreides would have died, essentially, in the story. The Harkonnens would have finished them off. The Emperor would have buried them on Arrakis, and they would have just disappeared, faded into the annals of history. The Fremen made the difference. They made up for the difference and gave Atreides the win. So the Fremen basically are military focused. They get less of a supply drain traveling the desert. They can form alliances with Sietches outside of the territory. Okay, so here's an explanation of the Fremen for people who are new to the Dune universe. The Fremen live in Sietches. So in this game you have Sietch Tabr, which we have not currently explored. This is an enemy space, so it's not visible here right now. Hold on. Let me see if I can just send an Ornithopter in this direction, and maybe I can show you very quickly.
Awaiting order.
Yeah, my Ornithopters are very far away. The spice is almost paid. We actually have... Yeah, we got enough money and everything. Let me just go ahead and grab this extra... No, I'll go ahead and research it, because why not? I have everything else that I would ever need. Buddy, listen. Come collect this, because reasons. Alright. So let that Ornithopter get over here. One thing I would like to see in this game is basically more acceleration. There it is. You can speed it up by twice the speed. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, as I was saying, Fremen basically live in Sietches. So the siege we are going to be looking at right now is Sietch Tabr, the Landsraad vote. Yeah, I already voted for a lot of this, I think. Yeah, that should be enough. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So this is Sietch Tabr. You can actually see this here. It's a beautiful, large city inside a cave. It is a massive settlement. The Harkonnen believe that there were about 10,000 Fremen or 15,000 Fremen on Dune total. It appears there are hundreds of thousands, millions of Fremen on Dune, and almost 30 or 40,000 alone live in Sietch Tabr. I think it was even more. Sietch Tabr is one of the major settlements of Fremen on Dune, which is why it's so elaborate. They will be able to make alliances with smaller settlements, which I will show you on the map here. So this is Tuo Aldak, which is another siege. It is a much smaller siege. Sieges are essentially dwellings within caves in the rock. That's basically what it is. The reason that they live inside these caves in the rock is because the sand is the home of Shai-hulud. Shai-hulud, for those of you who are new to the Dune universe, is the sandworm. The sandworm basically comes and murders anything on the sand that causes massive vibration. So basically any form of life that moves on the sand will be eaten eventually by the sandworm. There is nothing you can do about it. The sandworm is brutal. It will destroy. It will eat anything, and once it gets pissed off, it can, if you have seen the movie, it can go smash rocks as well to a certain extent. So, yeah. The Fremen therefore specialize in living in sietches, and according to what we just saw over there, the Fremen can make alliances with sietches outside of their territory. They use thumpers for worm riding, so the Fremen do not use Ornithopters. Fremen are more about, well, in this game they do have Ornithopters, but that's not how they get around. They have a sort of stealth movement, which is decided, governed by the sandworms. So if they can ride the sandworms, they can get in and out of territory unseen. So it's basically like cloak and dagger stealth attacks, but they're very, very tough fighters. They have a limited access, just like the smugglers, to the Landsraad, because they're not a major house. They're a minor faction, politically speaking, because the whole action here, the whole plot of Dune, the whole story of Dune takes place on Arrakis Dune, the Fremen home world. But outside of that home world, outside of the magnificent Siege Tabir, the Fremen have very little to offer pretty much the entire universe. They just want to live happily. But unfortunately, the Harkonnen came for the spice, and here we are. So at 5k hegemony, the thumpers are generated passively, and they attract larger sandworms. They can travel faster and farther across the desert. Military units gain power according to hegemony, maximum of 20% at 25,000. So these are the 4 factions that you get to play. When you start the game, you can also choose various counsellors, so I will actually show you guys that in a moment. Hold on. Let me just get back to the main menu. If you basically click on new, you can select a house with all the appropriate descriptions. You have the Atreides, Harkonnen, smugglers, Fremen. Once you choose a particular house, you will get a detailed description of their attributes, bonuses, and also penalties, if any. You get to choose two counselors who will provide you certain benefits. So, yeah, Chani Kynes incites rebellion, and she gives a bonus to intel production per neutral region. Stilgar bin Fifravi basically provides authority per spice field, and every new captured village gives you more intel regarding sieges across Dune. Mother Ramallo is provides you access to the Shai-hulud temple and reveals the position of all the spice fields on Dune. That is a pretty big advantage in terms of expansion. Othium gives your units speed bonus, as well as the Sandkiller's trait, which gives you power and armor. Armor is actually pretty definitive in terms of an advantage in this game. I will go into that. So you choose that and you start the game. You get to choose 2 counselors. That's how the cookie crumbles. Right, let's get back into the game that we were just playing right now. So I started with House Harkonnen because I wanted to test the combat. I wanted to see how the game played with a very straightforward militaristic approach. And I have to say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The game is an incredible amount of fun. I played for 5 hours straight. I'm not really sure what more you can say when someone plays for 5 hours straight and has such a lovely time with this game. So, let's start off with the capital. When you begin the game, you start off with the bare bones capital that has no buildings constructed. It's got a bunch of building slots which are horrendously expensive, and this is where you will get a lot of buildings that are unique to your faction. Carthag is House Harkonnen's citadel, and here I've already constructed the command post, the recruitment center, and the barracks are currently under construction. Once you build a certain number of structures in a given slot area, you will also unlock a bonus for that particular slot. Yeah, I already know this. I don't care. I'll play this later. Right, and then you can build 3 kinds of buildings: economic buildings, armories, and also political forums. Once you build political buildings or statecraft buildings, you will get the political bonuses. Once you build economic buildings entirely in one slot, you'll get economic bonuses, and so on and so forth. Likewise for the military. There are 3 stats that each building has. You have the power, you have the health, as well as the armor. If your citadel dies, your civilization is finished. You can see that you can see the results of my invasion against the smugglers over here. I destroyed their citadel, and the moment the citadel is dead, the moment they lost siege to Ek, they lost all of the neighboring territories, everything. They lost it all. I took away their dreams. I stomped on it until they were no more. That is how ruthless the Harkonnen are. That is how amazing we were. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so I have this phenomenal army. I'm gonna see if I can actually airlift them into a better position. Well, they could cross right through Atreides. No, that would be a bit of a pain. Okay, let's drop them here. The Harkonnen have a very interesting mechanic where you can airlift the troops. You can see these. Very cool. The shuttles come and pick up the units, and then they rise into the air, travel to the destination, and drop them off. The reason being, I want to capture this region, which I will do over the course of this game. There are a bunch of resources that are available. You have Solari, which are the credits. You have Plascrete, which is your construction material. You have manpower, which is essentially your manpower. You have fuel, which is essentially petrol, gas in hyperinflation mode. And you also have water, which is H2O. It is not Pepsi, it's not Mirinda, it's not Coca-Cola, it's not Thumbs Up, it's not Red Bull. Okay? It's just plain as water, because this is a desert. Well, not this, it's an ice shelf. But this is a desert. So you have all of these resources. You also have authority, which you kind of need in order to capture villages and regions, and you also have your Landsraad standing, which is essentially your political reputation among the great houses of Dune. Now, this is why I said it's kind of like a pseudo-democracy here. So Dune is basically home to the Empire of Man, the known universe where mankind has explored many planets, and a lot of these planets are under the rulership of individual houses. You can say clans, you can say fiefdoms, call it what you, but basically there is a family that governs these planets under their governorship, and all of these barons or lords or dukes or whatever answer to the Padishah Emperor. The Padishah Emperor is basically the emperor of the Padishah Imperial, right? So this is where you actually pay taxes. You send spice harvests too over the course of the game. Now, before we continue, let me just adjust the spike stocks quickly. Yeah, okay, so that's going well. So, as I was saying, the Landsraad is basically your reputation among these houses. The reason being, when you go to the Landsraad Council menu, which is where a lot of the politics in this game takes place, resolutions are put forward, they are proposed, they can be declined, supported, or voted in favor of one of the houses. Now, when you vote for a resolution in favor of one of the houses, you can give them a buff or a demerit. It really depends on your relationship with that house, the alliances, treaties, etc. that you have. In general, you're looking to dominate the whole planet. So the modus operandi in this game is to give debuffs such as minus 30% influence production to your worst enemies, and to give buffs to yourself. Now, is this smooth going? Does this always work the way you think it would work? No, not really. Basically, every faction in this game has votes, depending on their Landsraad rating. Also, they have influence, which is gained from political buildings, statecraft buildings, assigning agents, researching tech, etc., etc. Your votes will basically be constant based on your Landsraad rating, whereas your influence is generated on a daily basis. You can see that here. I'm generating 14 influence per turn, and you can pile up a lot of influence and vote for a particular resolution. You can deny it, you can vote it in favor of a house, etc., etc. So, in this particular Landsraad Council, House Atreides wants to apply for Eye of the Council, which is a charter of leadership. They will get 2 extra agents with a special council trait if they succeed. So I have chosen to decline that, and also to put 320 votes plus influence to push my way through. Will it be enough? We don't know. But denying the Atreides the Eye of the Council, I feel, is a fantastic thing to do. As far as House Harkonnen's, House Harkonnen's profits are concerned, House Harkonnen's benefits are concerned. We'll see how that goes. So this is the Landsraad rating. So you want to get that Landsraad rating as high as you can, in order to get the maximum benefits that would be made available to you over the duration of the game. So there you go. That's basically what it is. Now, how do you get Landsraad rating? Landsraad rating increases every time you make spice payments, and that is basically this window we were looking at. We have to pay a certain amount of tax. When you pay this tax, your Landsraad rating increases. If you don't pay the tax, your Landsraad rating correspondingly reduces, because nobody likes a defaulting piece of shit. That's just how life works. Now, before I talk about spice, let's go ahead and get into the combat just a little bit. Okay, let's go get another spice field. Here we go. Now, Dune, the lore Dune. Hold on. What's your problem? Construction possible at base. Oh, okay. I have slots for other buildings. Hegemony, Solari, economic development. I think hegemony is great, so let's go ahead and build that. Knowledge or harvester? Harvester, definitely. Okay, so while that is going on, I'm going to go ahead and attack the village of Tuatha. Now, you have certain units that you can recruit in this game. There are no vehicles that I have seen with House Harkonnen. The Dune lore is quite specific about the technology that was available to units at the time, to the great houses at the time. Basically, in the Dune lore, there was, a long time before Dune, a war with the AI, computers, etc., etc. So basically people became paranoid. They really did not want hold on. Sandstorm, hostile units. What? Yeah, I think they're just crossing. They're not going anywhere. It's okay. Now, that being said, I was saying that in the Dune universe, there are no visible computers that people use. People don't use artificial intelligence. They don't make use of a lot of modern tech that we take for granted, mainly because people suffered from the war with the AI, and because of that, AI was banned, a lot of advanced technology was banned, and therefore, Dune as a civilization, as a universe, is pretty bare bones. I mean, Dune is not about building supercomputers and nuclear weapons and whatnot, although the Harkonnen like to use atomics. That's really not what it's about. Dune is really more about men fighting the good fights. getting backstabbed, their throats slit, etc., etc., and somehow making it out alive. That's really what Dune is all about, essentially. Hold on a moment. There seems to be a bit of an issue here. Okay, I think the Atreides are about to attack my village, unless I've got it totally wrong and they're going to do something fun. I don't think so. Yeah, they're definitely coming for my city. Oh, they got eaten by Shai-hulud! Woohoo! So, that's the sandworm. Enjoy, boys! Enjoy! They came with 5 units and then they lost everything, bloody buggers. That's what you get, Atreides. Okay, go, Harvester. Yeah, I want to explain so many things, it's just I'm a bit busy. Hold on. So the sandworm basically saved us. See, even the sandworm knows that we're the best. Okay, so we attacked and took over this village. Basically, you can perform 3 functions with a village. You can take it over. You can, that's called occupying. You can also pillage it. If they are neutral villages, they can be pillaged. Once you pillage a particular village, you get gold, and the village cannot be acted on for a long time. It's like... I don't know, 6 months or something. You can't do anything to that village. So now that we have captured this, we will now look at the RTS real-time strategy elements of this game. Hold on, let me just get these guys out of here.
Baron, we'll do that.
So you basically have your neutral settlements that you can take over called villages, where you can set up militia units that will defend said village from attacks and stuff. You can recruit rangers, demolition militia, ranged militia, melee. You can also build buildings, which is the whole point of getting villages. Now, in Dune, the reason we are all fighting like crazy people on a desert planet is for spice. The spice must flow. It is the only reason that this desert garbage of a planet in the universe has any importance whatsoever. This lovely red stuff, mixed with the sand, made from the blood of the sandworms, the maker, blessings of Shai-hulud be upon us, is the whole reason that we are fighting on Dune. Spice is life. Without spice, the universe will come to a grinding halt, is what everybody in this universe believes. So the spice is the reason that we are putting in so much effort, and spice fields are rare in this game. The bigger the spice field, the more yield you get in the Dune universe. In this game, spice fields generally give you a fixed yield depending on how advanced or upgraded your harvester is, but the point being they're scattered over the map and you're trying to gain control of as many spice fields as possible so you can build and refine spice. Now, in order to mine spice, you need to build an economic building called a refinery. So this is where the RTS elements of the game come into play. You can set down buildings once you've captured a village. There is a grid. Remember, you can only build buildings on rock. Buildings cannot be built on sand because they will sink and Shai-hulud will come and eat it for dessert. So we'll go ahead and put down a building, say... Yep, over there. So that refinery will be built soon enough. Once the refinery is built, we'll actually go down here so I can show you. This is a refinery. Once this refinery has been constructed... Hello, people. What are you doing? All done? Fantastic. Yeah, the Atreides are retreating because they died like pigs. So, this is a refinery. Once it is constructed, it spawns a harvester, which is over here. The harvester, once you click on the deploy button, which then becomes the recall button, will be deployed by a carryall on the spice field. It will then start collecting stone, sand, and spice, which will then be separated into pure spice at the refinery. And the rate of production entirely depends on how well developed your harvester is, the harvester tech is, how many crew members you have assigned, how much research you have done to max out the crew that you can assign, etc, etc, etc. Basically, one of the things you should remember when building and using harvesters is enable auto recall. I have not so far over the course of this game seen any reason to keep this disabled. I haven't. I have seen no reason to have this disabled whatsoever. So you can just keep this enabled. What happens when this is enabled is, if that sandworm, that lovely, lovely sandworm that ate the Atreides soldiers, shows up again, the carryall will come and pick up the harvester and take it back to the refinery. Once it picks up the harvester, in fact, worm sign! Yeah, you guys are going to see it now. The worm's coming. The carryall picks up the harvester and it takes it away before the worm can eat it. It will deposit the harvester at the refinery. We wait for this worm sign to disappear. The shaking of the sand, the waves in the sand indicate the presence of a sandworm. You want to avoid that as much as you can. Once all that shaking is gone, you can deploy the harvester again. I hope the developers include an auto deploy button as well. Alright, we got a new harvester deployed. Fantastic! Go, go, go! Ah, good stuff. Very good stuff. Let me just go ahead and add crew members so we can get all that done. Another sandworms detected. Oh yeah, they're coming now. They're coming now. Come on, Carryalls. This is why I said there is no reason whatsoever. No reason at all whatsoever to have the auto recall button turned off. None whatsoever. None, 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 none. Okay, once the sandworm is gone, once the worm sign has successfully dissipated, you can go ahead and deploy it. Always make sure that you check visibly with the Mark 1 eyeball to see if the worm sign has actually disappeared. Do not trust the game to tell you that the worm is gone. Do not do that. Look with your own eyeballs, see it for yourself, and decide if the worm is gone or not. Alright, economic building constructed. Can I have the other one? Yeah, go ahead, build it. Now, you can also build military buildings in order to defend your base. I'm going to go ahead and pop down a missile turret. Like you guys saw in the siege defense that took place in Nuna, the missile turrets will fire on anything. Any of the raiders or enemies coming close to them. Sandstorm! Ooh, look at that. Now, the sandstorm is basically a weather event that deteriorates or depletes the HP of any units on the sand apart from the harvesters. So remember to make sure that your units, when not doing anything, are firmly planted near one of your settlements on the rock. Otherwise, you will lose them very, very quickly. Anyway, I was talking about the harvesters. Make sure that the auto recall button is turned on. Make sure you read it. Do not leave your harvesters unattended. You really don't want to lose a harvester and pay the cost of replacing them. There are techs that make this quite cheap and easy to do, but in general, the spice must flow. Sorry, what the hell just happened? Sandstorm, okay. Wait, why do I have a command point deficit? What just happened? Ah, the sandstorm disabled my... okay. Sorry. The sandstorm disabled the building. Yeah, that's the other effect of the sandstorm. A sandstorm will disable buildings wherever it passes. And when that happens, you will lose bonuses. Like one of the buildings here, which is giving me command points. The command post gives me 12 command points. It is currently disabled and therefore I cannot take advantage of that bonus. It will be restored momentarily, no problem. It's all good, guys, don't worry. Okay, so getting back to the spice. The harvester will collect spice at a fixed rate. Now that I have 3 out of 3 crews planted, it's mining about 35 spice per tick. In other cases, it's more like 40, 38, 37. It really depends on the... I guess it depends on the size of the spice field and things like that, factors of that kind. Also, the presence of silos. Like, I have silos over here in some of these places that enhance spice mining. I don't have that here. I will set that up momentarily. Hold on. A silo basically grants mining bonuses to the spice harvesters in the area, enhances your spice mining overall. The sandstorm is gone. The units now function once again. Now, that being said, why are we mining spice? Yes, the spice must flow. Why do we care? Is the question. Whether the spice flows or not, what difference does it make? Number one, the Imperial tax. The spice that you mine is not going into your pockets. Your pockets aligned with bribes and other, secret amounts that you shave off of the total. But that is not what is happening with the spice that you mine. The spice that you mine goes towards the Chom Merchant Guilds. And also to the Imperial family, the Padishah Imperial. So it is like a tribute as well as market fee, transaction fees, so to speak. So the first responsibility that you have is to give the spice to the Emperor. When you trade with when you pay the tax to the Imperium will give you extra Landsraad points, which we talked about earlier. You get Landsraad rating, standing, and you also will not get Landsraad penalties, which you will incur if you cannot pay the Imperial tax. This is very, very important. Make sure that you pay your tax and your spice quotas on time. The Shom Guild is different. The Shom essentially regulates the exchange of Solari for spice. So you can trade with them on a constant basis by giving all your excess spice to the Shom Merchant Guild in return for Solari. That is hereby dictated by this bar over here, which splits the percentage of spice between the Imperium stockpile and the Shom Merchant Guild. Right now we set it to 80-20, 80 for the Emperor, 20 for the Shom, because I was trying to get this amount of 1,591 spice, which I kind of need to have within 7 days to pay the taxes. But right now I have 2,018 spice, so I will increase the amount I will trade with the Emperor by a lot more. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to make it 100-0, whereby my Imperium stockpile increases by 0.3, and my Shom stockpile goes up, Shom trade goes up by 400 Solari, netting me a massive profit in credits. Now, one of the things I did not notice in this game early on is the presence of this slider. I believe it is mentioned in the tutorials, but I didn't do the tutorials. I thought I was a genius. I went into the game and started playing directly, and And here we are. So this slider can be adjusted from 0 to 100 in either direction, either for the Shome or for the Imperium stockpile. Is there a benefit to stockpiling spice beyond the requirements that you have? It depends on the strategy that you're playing. Early on, if you can get a lot of spice fields, then you can 100% stockpile a lot of spice, pay bare minimum taxes, and simply trade heavily with the Shome. You can do that. The more you trade with the Shome, obviously this exchange rate will reduce. The game does a decent rudimentary simulation of a currency exchange rate market. So as you are trading with the Shome, or as you're trading with any partner, if their stockpile of items increases, obviously they're willing to pay less for your items in return. So make sure that you balance how much you trade with how much you stockpile. In general, though, trading with the Shome gives you more Solari. Solari is credits. It lets you fund and maintain an army, etc., etc. So why wouldn't you? Trade with Shome, get lots of credits, but do it early on. Manage this as you're stockpiling for the Imperium. Make sure that you increase the ratio given to the stockpile. Once you have enough to pay your taxes, reduce it back to 0 and trade directly with Shome for money. All the figures are updated real time. You can actually see it right there, both in the tax expectation, tax estimate, as well as the Solari mentioned about. Landsraad Council. Yeah, I'm taking it. I want my Landsraad. I want it all. Let me just pop some water. And we'll get back to it. So that's how spice production works. So you got to set up refineries, and you got to set up spice silos and stuff where the said refineries can store the spice, etc., etc. Things like that. So I'm just building a spice silo, and you will notice as that spice silo is completed, you will see an increase in production. No, I'm not trading with you, you enemies of the Harkonnen. Okay, after that spice silo was built, my harvester is mining 37 spice instead of 35. So that's the whole point. Every village has 5 building slots. Normally you start with 1. If in the early game you can pay some plascrete is what it's called. Yes, you can pay some plascrete to unlock slots. It starts with 100, 200, 300, and then finally 500 to unlock the final slot in the village. Every village can have a maximum of 5 buildings, be they political, economic, or military, a mix of both, or a pure militaristic structure. It is your choice. My strategy playing with the Harkonnen is to include airfields in all of my frontier territories and also my main bases, so that I can bounce back and forth with units. Units are always recruited at the home base. So basically, as long as you have a sufficient number of airfields in all the key areas, you can dance your units back and forth, or you can transport them quickly in and out of war zones, you know. Okay, my missile batteries are built. I will now build the airfields. Very well done. Excellent. Now that that's been completed, let's go back to the Landsraad. Yes, we are now the judge of the council. So, as the judge of the council, basically in this game, you have various charters that you get in the diplomacy menu. The charters give you big bonuses. Right now, as the Harkonnen, I love to be judge of the council because it allows me to train the Landsraad guards. Why is this important? As you can see here, I said you have a limited number of units to train. Each faction has 5 units. The Landsraad Guard would be the 6th unit, which as far as I have seen has the 2nd highest attack rating for a unit in the game. Well, 3rd highest for the Harkonnen, and also incredibly high armor equal to the Harkonnen House Guard of 6, and the highest HP of all the units that you can train. So you can literally replace a lot of your crappy units with the Landsraad Guard, and you would actually be in a very, very good situation if you did that. Of course, you have to be careful. You have to mind your points. You have to mind your command points. If you run out of command points, you cannot train. You cannot train new units. The Fremen wish to tell us the charter will advantage us. Yeah, you guys are gonna die whenever I get around to you, so don't worry about it. A raid is coming. Ha 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 ha. Kill them all! Harkonnen! This is why I love the Harkonnen. Straight up bad guys.
We're ready, Baron. Be strategic. We'll do as you order. Anything to please you. A strategic move.
Yeah, the only problem with moving massive armies is that Shai-hulud basically tracks the vibrations and will come for your ass. So you gotta be very careful about that. Okay, the tax has been paid, our Landsraad rating is increasing, and now the new tax is 2071 spice, which we shall presently try and deliver. Okay, so that's basically how spice works. You want to make sure that you get all of the spice fields. Spice fields are indicated by this purple icon on the map. It looks like purple sand. So you want to go capture those areas as fast as you can.
On duty. Baron.
Alright, when you click on a neutral territory like this, you can actually see how many authority points it takes to capture it. Now, authority points is your feudal power on Arrakis. You need authority points in order to take over villages, to maintain your authority over the population, to maintain control over them. So having sufficient authority points is essential to take over villages. The further away you go, there's a worm sign. The further away you go from your main territory of Carthag for the Harkonnen, the more authority points it will take to annex a particular territory. In this case, my eyes are set on Hulin, where there is spice available, and Hulin will require 281 authority in order to capture. The Fremen are stupid. They're going to try and come.
Route. En route. En route.
Yeah, let's just deploy that harvester. Oh, they're gonna come and attack us? Where are they going? They're gonna raid the Atreides? Aww. Anyway, What I was saying was, you need sufficient authority before you attack a particular base. In order to take over a particular area, just click on any village and you can actually see this rating tell you exactly how much you will need to occupy the place. If you don't have sufficient authority, all you can do is pillage, which is fine if you need the Solari. If you don't, it is a bit of a waste. And while all that fighting is going on, Shai-hulud showed up thanks to the bloody raiders, and I had to send my harvester home. Fantastic. Arses. Make sure your harvesters are all out spice mining. That's how you survive in this game. Very, very, very important. Oh my goodness, another sandstorm. That's becoming a problem from the deep desert. Now, moving on from stockpiling and trading and authority, let's actually take a look at another aspect of the game which I feel is pretty important, which is domain expansion. Now, just like Endless Space, if you have played Endless Space 2, and other endless games. What was it called? Endless Dungeons? Or Endless Domains? Something like that. Basically, any kind of 4X strategy game, you will remember it's all about conquering various regions on the map and asserting your sovereignty. Yeah, I know, there are lots of sandworms. What the hell do you want me to do? Yeah, there are lots of sandworms coming and going now. Anyway, as I was saying, you have to conquer regions on the map. You start at your capital. The AI starts at its own capital. And you conquer a region by taking over the village in that region. So, for example, here we have Andar, which our army has taken over. And when you take over that particular village, you get control of the region. You start producing more hegemony for yourself, hegemony points, which are here. You get points from controlling regions. You get points from controlling special regions. Special regions are essentially like landmarks. In real life, you have Mount Fuji, the Himalayas, the Amazon forest. On Dune, you have places like Mount Idaho, which gives you 500 hegemony points as well as research bonuses. You also have the Polar Sink, which is essentially frozen water, and you get that for like 1,000. You get 1,000 hegemony points for being in this region. So bonuses like that can be received by conquering the right region. So make sure that you keep expanding, conquering regions, and ensuring that you spread your flag, you hoist your flag across all the different lands of Arrakis. Now, depending on the map size that you choose, your games could be phenomenally long, or they could be really, really short and sweet. So what you typically want to do is keep expanding every chance that you get. Grab new territories. Territories closer to your base will cost less authority. Territories farther away from your base will cost more authority. I want to decline this resolution that reduces the power of units by 30%. Everything else I don't really care. So that's basically hegemony and regions. The more regions you conquer, the more hegemony you get. You can look at the total hegemony from the rankings. Those who get like a maximum amount of hegemony will get 25,000 hegemony, will essentially win a hegemony victory. It depends on the victory conditions specified in the game. Here we have a domination victory, which means I have to conquer and kill literally everybody. And that is something that I will 100% do over the the course of time. I will 100% do that. Right. Apart from that, what else do we have to cover? We have looked at all of these resources which you can get by building various buildings. Remember, the crux of the game is to manage your resources. As you gain more regions, that becomes a bit easier and easier and easier, and eventually you will have so many resources you don't even care. But the point is that you need to keep an eye on your resources, how much you're consuming, how much you're wasting, how much you're utilizing for various purposes. You really don't want to run out at any point of time. Okay, combat, as I said, is initiated by selecting all your units, right-clicking on the target that you want to attack. They will go and attack said target. An area can be occupied by leaving your units over the target for a particular period of time. They will then capture that and add it to your fiefdom. There is a trade request. I will decline it. One thing I will say as far as this game is concerned, don't really trade with your enemies. Everybody here is essentially your enemy. They're not your friends. When you trade with them from this trading screen, you are actually transferring resources that they will use for their own benefit. This is important to remember. So if you want to deprive them of resources, go ahead and trade them either Solari or whatever. But in general, I would request that players focus on, building their own resource structures and not give valuable resources like spice and plascrete and intel and Solari to the enemy. Because if you give it to the enemy, they will ultimately use it against you. As far as I've seen, there is no allied victory in this game. I don't know about the Atreides, but as far as the Harkonnen are concerned, it's about domination, beating down the opponent and winning. The game also has a research screen with technology that you can research. Right now there are a limited number of research options available, but it takes a long time to research anything, so don't really worry about, going through the tech too quickly. That really doesn't happen. Knowledge, resource production, you can get that up. As far as I've seen, you can queue about 3 researchers in one go. So make sure that you queue up whatever it is that you would like to research as early as possible. Done. I stopped that from happening. The Speaker of the Council goes to the Atreides. They can reroll resolutions. Okay. Right. So yeah, just make sure that you're producing you're self-sufficient in the resources that you require, and make sure that you pay attention to the numbers all the time. What is this? It's a siege. What do they give? Upkeep in the region. Do I want this region? Oh, it's Atreides. Don't leave your units on the sand. If you do, Shai-hulud is gonna show up and everybody will die.
En route. En route.
Right, so make sure that you queue up the research that you want. You will get various unique research options for each house that you play. For example, for the Harkonnen, there is energy markets, which actually gives them +2 Solari per spare fuel cell. So it actually makes sense to build lots of fuel generation centers. which you will find in one of the towns that I've set up. I'm actually building quite a few of those. Fuel cell factories. You want to build these in as many towns as possible so that you can generate a lot of solari, which will be shown here. Energy Markets is providing me 136 solari, which is pretty damn significant. Point of interest has been done. The other thing is your Landsraad Council, which we have seen many times. And finally, you have espionage, which is so very important for the Harkonnen. You get a number of agents. Each agent can be assigned to one of 3 available slots to spy on your enemy houses, and also the various minor houses, the Shome, the Spacing Guild, and also the Landsraad. As you allocate agents, this is very important, each agent will give you bonuses. Like for example, spying for the Landsraad gives you influence, the Shome give you Solari, Spacing Guild gives you manpower, Arrakis gives you authority production. So you want to have as many agents as possible in as many slots as possible. You also use agents to negotiate with Sietches. As I showed you guys before, Sietches are where the Fremen live in the desert. You can send emissaries to each siege after you reach 100 relation with them, and you will get a certain bonus from that siege. So our business with Almon, hold on. Our business with Siege Almon actually gives us 20% bonus manpower production, and we trade 10 water for 2 knowledge from them. One thing to remember with siege mechanics is once you have reached 100 relation, if you don't want to do the trade and get the water back, you can go ahead and discontinue that trade. It makes no difference. I have not seen this relation drop over time. So there's no reason to continue trading if you're not really interested in that particular resource. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick you guys up and we're going to drop you off at a more convenient spot where we can now attack Hulin and take over another spice field production. Let's go ahead and do that.
Anything for you, Baron.
Attack! Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and take over this village. Alright, a new construction is possible in Carthag. Let me just go ahead and set something up. I need, recycling vats, makes sense. 5 water per building in your main base, 50 hegemony for each water producing village, 25% max supply. Makes fantastic sense. Go ahead and build that place, and then we'll also start building, when we have enough plascrete, we'll build other stuff. Let's go ahead and occupy this particular area. We can build another refinery and life will be good. Right, the other thing I wanted to explain as I was talking about espionage, you can allocate agents. Make sure that you allocate each and every agent to all the available slots. That is extremely important. If you don't do that, it's going to become a bit of a problem later because agents also generate intel, which you need to develop and deploy operations. I'll tell you how that works. You go to the intel screen, you have a bunch of operations available here, which cost you intel, such as probes that that reveal area and its information therein. Poison the reserves, which reduces supply of enemy combatants. Gear sabotage, same thing, reduces their power, supply drops, etc. Now, the cool thing about this is you do not actually activate these immediately. You have to first prepare them. So you click on the play button over here and it prepares that particular operation. You can prepare about 5 operations at any given time. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare, let's see, interdiction zone. No, I think gear sabotage is enough. So make sure you have a bunch of operations prepared and ready to go so that you can use them in attack in offensive situations and you know, get the best out of all of your units. They can buff units that belong to you. They can debilitate units belonging to the enemy. We need plus creep. Uh-oh. Okay, we need time to build a plus creep factory. Let's do that. Okay, so we conquered another place. I'm just building a plascrete factory. One of the things you can do is buy plascrete if you need it. Now, normally I don't enjoy trading with anybody. But when you need resources urgently, what are you going to do? Inactive harvester, deploy it immediately. Alright, a bunch of other things we will cover are the Ornithopters. Ornithopters are basically your scouts. Ornithopters are tiny little units. They have what are called articulated wings that allow them to travel in very tough desert conditions. And they're very good winged aircraft, basically. They will scout the map, reveal all the various regions for you, allow you to explore, and also, more importantly, take advantage of certain points of interest.
En route. En route. En route. En route. En route.
I know. Alright. Let's go back to Hulin. That building is complete. We're gonna get our refinery off as fast as possible. I want the harvester deployed. Right. Anyway, so what I was saying was... yeah, so Ornithopters are pretty useful for scouting around the map. They open up various regions, and they also give you points of interest, such as this one. So, how points of interest work is, you can send military units, or you can send an Ornithopter, or you can send an agent to get a certain type of reward. In the case of this point of interest, we have to send a unit to go check it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gunner.
You need.
Ready for destruction.
Then I'm gonna basically go over here.
We'll be there soon. Listening.
Okay, he doesn't have an airfield. So we'll actually send him to... we'll send him manually. He can walk all the way, hopefully, without getting eaten.
Ready. Agreed.
And once the soldier gets there, he actually performs the investigation and we'll get this Ornithopter. So remember to keep a track of the various points of interest across the map. They do tend to pop up from time to time. They're usually quite random as far as I have seen. Decline, I'm not giving you a damn thing, you bloody Atreides. Enemy of this great house. So yeah, you can get Ornithopters for free as long as you're a bit careful. You can just get them off of the map. You don't have to pay for them. You can also actually build them. It costs about 400 Solari as well as 2 fuel. So you could do that. Yeah. Ooh, how's Atreides took it? Look at that. Bloody buggers. And yeah, that's about it. You have the harvesters, ornithopters, and military. Now, as far as tactics in this game are concerned, you have to play the game according to the house that you select. House Harkonnen is more in-your-face fighter than anything else. What the hell is going on here?
Subach kuha.
Ah, somebody started an operation against us. Ooh. Did you really think that's gonna help? Hold on. Hold on. Get over here, boys. Aha! They resolved it, and I got an Ornithopter. This is why I said it's very important to make sure that you have,
Instruments of doom.
you know, you have your eye on the map for all the good stuff that you get.
Ready, Baron.
Yeah, the Atreides missile towers are taking pot shots at us. Ha 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 ha.
En route.
Man, it's not gonna help you, Atreides.
Anything for you, Baron. On duty. On our way. A strategic move.
I'm gonna airdrop these guys right there.
Nothing will stand in our way. Nothing will stand in our way.
Whenever there's a rebellion, your troops will not act. There will be no actions taken by harvesters. You will have a bit of a problem in terms of dealing with dealing with the rebellion. Like your spice production will grind to a halt. Unfortunately, now I have to deal with my spice production. Hold on. You can only teleport like 5, you can only fly like 5 units at a time.
Anything for you, Baron. A strategic move. On our way.
Alright, I think we got this handled. You guys are regenerating, right?
We're ready, Baron.
Oh my goodness! He's being attacked left and right.
Order. On our way. A strategic move.
Okay, the harvester can deploy now. All the troops are fine.
Ready for extraction.
Ready for destruction. Conveyors of destruction.
Alright, so my troops are doing their thing. I'll take a look at it later. Okay, what else do we have to cover in this tutorial? I think we pretty much touched on everything. Make sure to read your factions, you know, the descriptions and exactly what it is that they do, specifically how they deal with various aspects of the game, etc., etc. And then, you know, move accordingly, and you will be in a pretty good shape. And that's Dune Spice Wars. Remember, the game is in early access. Do remember that. And some changes will definitely be made. I'm pretty sure we'll see some visual changes, maybe additional units, maybe not. One of the criticisms I've seen on the forums is that people are complaining about the number of units. Now, one of the things I will say as to that is, Dune, if you have ever read the novels, in Dune there are no tanks and mechs and Gundam, you know, saber fighters, simply because on Dune the sandworm is attracted to vibrations. So tanks and shields and things like that will generate so many vibrations that, well, you will not last long enough to get a shot off. Which is why it's mainly, everything is done on foot, with swords and shields and things like that. Kree knives, what have you. Kill them all! Do I actually want to do anything here? Render the village unusable for a month. I don't really care, but you know what? Go ahead and pillage it. For the Baron! What combat ongoing? Who are you shooting at? Oh, Atreides units, okay. Right, so there are a whole bunch of things that are piling up over here. I mean, I kind of have to deal with that, and we will see to that next time. But this is Dune Spice Wars. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. The video will be available after the live stream, I guess, in about half a day or less than that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I will take a look at it and answer the best I can. I will be playing more of this game in detail live streams in the future. I have absolutely enjoyed it. We will start at the beginning and we will play this all the way through. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial of Dune Spice Wars. Get it on Steam. It is available there. It is a lot of fun. I started at midnight and played all the way till 5 in the morning. Absolutely enjoyed it. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So I will see you guys next time. My name is Andar. This has been an episode of Andar Plays, and see you later. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have fun. Have a good day.